Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In my recent Empties video, several of you requested a tutorial on the makeup look I was wearing in that video, as well as the hairstyle I was wearing in that video. So today I am bringing you the tutorial on the makeup look. I've already uploaded the hair tutorial, so I will link that in the description box below. And the palette that I'm using today, you will see, is a very expensive palette, and I will tell you how I obtained it for only $30. But if you don't have that palette, never fear, stay to the end and I will show you another palette that I think many of you may own or can get your hands on, and it is a lot less expensive, but you can still get a similar look to what I'm wearing here today. So now without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. So don't mind my hair, it's just air drying right now, waiting to do my tutorial. My foundation combination is this Catrice HD Liquid Coverage. I used it with the Ofra Rays of Light Primer and then set it with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Powder. For my eye primer, I used the Smashbox 24-Hour Eyeshadow Primer. And now going into this beautiful, expensive Natasha Denona Biba palette. I got this with my Sephora VIB points that covered $100 of it, so I paid $30 and change by the time you add sales tax, but I love it. Now the brush I'm going to start off with is this Sigma F50. I do love this brush, and we're going to go in with the shade Tusk, and I'm using this right under the brow bone and through the top of the crease. And that brush just lays down a good amount of shadow there. Then on the Morphe M504, I'm going to go in with Prairie. This is a kind of acorn color, I would say. Putting that through the crease, layering that just a couple times, keeping that soft. This is going to be our transition shade. And then I'm going into Buff, and this is really the color that's going to show up. So I'm going to continue with that M504 and blend this all the way through the crease. And I do layer this twice with this particular brush. And then I switch to the M433, and now I'm going to continue layering that color a little more in the outer corner and then bringing it onto the outer half of the lid as well. So just layer that a couple of times to the level of intensity that you want. And then I'm going to take the M504, go around the edge, and you know me, I just like to blend as I go. So then I'm going to go back in with a little more of Prairie and just go around the edge of that to make sure it stays soft. Now going in with the E55 from Sigma, I'm going to go into the shade Pasha, which is a red-brown shade. It's still neutral but has a red undertone to it, and I just love this shade. So I'm using this to create kind of a triangle shape here in the outer corner. I'm angling it down and centering it. You'll see me continue to layer. I'm moving kind of the angle of it to the middle of the upper lash line and then angling it up towards the brow. And then using the M506 from Morphe, I'm going to go in with a combination of these two shades. First starting off with Buff. I'm going to just soften the upper edge of that. And then I will go back in with more Pasha and just continue to further deepen that outermost corner of the upper lash line and then make sure it's blended up towards the crease. So this is just giving our eye a lifted look as we raise that towards the tail of the brow. Now going back with the M433, making sure that again is all blended, and then the M504. Blend, blend, blend. That is the theme of this tutorial. Now going in with this tiny little brush, this is the Sigma E57, and it's the firm shader brush, and this just does a good job of picking up sparkly shades and not dropping down the glitter on your cheeks, so that's a perk. So I started off first with this brush in the shade Monroe. This is a beautiful kind of rose gold shade, and you can see it does lay down quite a bit of pigment using a dry brush, but I wanted more intensity, so I went in with my finger, and that just bumped up the level of intensity there on the lid. And I'm keeping this shade below the crease, but overlapping those outer corner colors just a little bit, and then going in with the M506 and more buff on that brush and just blending the edge of those shades. Now going in with the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Pencil in Demolition. This is just a matte dark brown eyeliner, and I will smudge it about a third of the way along the lower lash line and then smudge it about halfway over, and then take this flat definer brush. This is the M432, and a combination of Seed, which is a dark brown, and Spot, which actually has a little bit of shimmer in it. It's a black shimmer, but you really don't pick up on the shimmer. And what I'm doing is overlapping that eyeliner, and then you can see here in the outer corner, I am pulling up and I'm creating a pattern, just kind of an outline of where I'm going to do my liquid eyeliner. So we'll get to that in a second. Now going in with the E47 and more of buff, I'm going to use this to soften the lower lash line. Now for liquid liner, using my favorite Kat Von D Tattoo liquid liner in the shade Mad Max Brown. I always start about halfway across, and as I go towards the outer corner, I am bringing that line up. Now we have that nice guide that we created with our eyeshadow, so I am following that line and pulling the liner back towards the lash line, and being careful not to go below our shadow guideline, but going above it and pulling back. So this just helps you control how long that wing is, and just, I think, helps control the overall shape of it. And then I am making sure that I connect it with that lower lash line in the corner. Going in with the EB21 from Sedona Lace, I'm going to go in with a little combination of Seed and Pasha. So just a tiny little tap in Pasha. And I'm going to go above where that liquid liner is and just soften that a little bit, the top edge of it. I'm not taking it below the liner, but just using that to soften the upper line there. And then go in with the M506, no extra product, and blend out that corner. And then as you go up towards the brow bone, just want to make sure that you always blend a little extra there with the M433. And if you need to, you can even go back with that M50. So then I cleaned up under the lash line, applied my trio of mascara, which I'll link below. And now for bronzer, I'm using the Aladdin bronzer in the shade Your Wish Is My Command. This is actually technically a blush, but I use it as a bronzer, and I'm using the Sedona Lace 919, using that more on the tops of the cheeks, around the hairline, and then I'll use it also along the jawline as well. And so kind of using this as a soft contour slash bronzer just to warm up the face, and this will help make our contour, which I'm using here, look a little softer. So this is the Bare Minerals Faux Tan Bronzer, and I am using small contour F05 brush just to shape the cheeks. And then I do also take this around the hairline as well, just to add just a little more definition. And then using the Lorac Pro brush that comes with the Pro Contour Kit, and using that just to do a tiny little bit of nose contouring. For blush, I am using this one from the Becca, the Made with Love by Malika. It's the Chloe and Malika palette, and I'm using the shade Yes Girl. It's a radiant coral blush. It's really pretty, and I'm using this on the Sigma F40 brush, and applying a good amount of that, just layering that up more towards the back of the cheeks because this has some glow. And then I'm going in with the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush in Feisty. This is just a deluxe sample size, and I'm going to take a tiny little bit of this. This is a matte blush, and I'm using this more in the apple of the cheek and then brushing it back towards the back of the cheek. For highlighter, I'm using the shade Dusted from that same palette, and this is a MAC Fein brush, which I didn't think was still available, but it is, so I will link it down below. I think it's the 140 brush, and I love this brush. Going back now for our lower lash line, I'm using that E47 and a little more buff. And after I apply mascara on the lower lash line, sometimes I like to go back and do this because I think it just softens that lash line a little bit. And then this is where I'm going to add a little bit more Prairie and bring that in towards the inner corner. Not all the way to the corner, but close. And you can see it just looks a little softer. Then going in with the E30 from Sigma, I'm going to use Monroe, the same shade that we used on our lid, and this is going to become our inner corner highlight. I'll also put a little bit on my finger because I just like the intensity that the finger gives when you apply it that way. For around the edge of the lips, like always, using the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. And this just helps the lipstick and lip liner all stay in place. And I'm using a gloss today, so this is super important for me. For lip liner, I'm using my itty bitty NYX Nutmeg lip liner. I promise one of these days I'm going to use this up. But I'm going around first just with a thin line all the way around the edge of the lips. And then because I am not using a lipstick today, I'm using that liner and filling in just slightly, especially in the outer corners of the lips because I don't want there to be a harsh line. Now for my favorite gloss at the moment, this is the Dose of Colors lip gloss in the shade Jazzy, and this is just beautiful. As you can see, it just looks like rose gold on the lips. It has a lot of shimmer in it, but it is not gritty. It's one of the very few that you can have that much shimmer and glow and it not be gritty. And I just love this. Just taking care to make sure I blend the lip liner and that gloss together so that you can't see where that lip liner ends. All right, so here's our finished look. And I've just really been into these kind of shimmery gold / peachy tones on the lid with a warm brown in the outer corner. I just love that. Now, as I promised in the beginning, if you don't have the Natasha Denona Biba palette, and if it doesn't fit into your budget either, one palette that I thought many of you might own, and I believe you can still easily get this. It's the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. It was the first one that she really collaborated with them on. And you'll see here, this is what it looks like. Now there are actually obviously a ton more shades in this palette, but there are some very similar shades as to the ones I used in the Biba palette. This is a great quality palette, and I would say this one right here, this one, and then any really of these deeper, darker shades would work. And then as far as the shimmery color on the lid, you could do a combination. You could do this one with a little bit of one of the golds, or even if you want to go a little more pinky tone, this would work as well. So this is just another option that is far more affordable than the Natasha Denona palette. But even if you don't have either of those palettes, I'm sure that in your collection you have some similar shades to what I used today. Thank you as always so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!